Welcome to CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. I'm Mercedes Schlapp, and there is a new documentary out produced by the great Sean Spicer. And let's play the trailer of Front Row Joes.
From the backbone of the greatest political movement ever, the Front Row Joes, the foundation of the Trump faith. Who are they?
You had to love the United States of America, and you had to love Mr. Donald Trump and support Mr. Donald Trump's re-election.
And where do they go next? For the first time ever, a behind-the-scenes look into the energy that's changing the world, with Stephen K. Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Donald J. Trump.
They're incredible people, and the Front Row Joes are, you know, in a certain way, I guess they're very successful people.
Friendships I've made over the years as a Front Row Joe, it's probably the best part of it.
Go to frontrowjoes.movie to experience the movement.
The kind of basis for all the rallies, and they've been, I mean, they're just like dead fans.
I mean, these people are inspirational. They're part of a huge political movement that's changed America. And with me now is Sean Spicer, the brainchild behind this incredible documentary, Front Row Joes. Thank you, Sean, for joining me.
Thanks for being here. And best what, I always come with something. So I've got a CPAC exclusive for you guys. Just in the FedEx just now is the first copy of the DVD.
Oh, excellent.
This is it. No, but here it gets better. Turn it on its back. Whose name is that? Mercedes Schlapp, right there. Yeah, you've never. I hadn't seen this. Now you've seen it. I'm actually really cool. I mean, to get this is the first one. This is the prototype. If people want to order it, they can obviously stream it at salemnow.com. But then you can also order the DVD. I know a lot of people always wonder about like gifts or, you know, will it get I mean, the ironic thing about what you're talking about is getting canceled. And if you want to make sure that you can always see it, or you want to give it to someone and they don't stream, then get the DVD at salemnow.com. But that's we saw the debut of it together.
I know. And I got to say, Sean, thank you very much for including CPAC in the documentary. But I want to start by saying, what inspired you to do this in the first place?
So, you know what? This gets better. I don't even think you know this. So I'm at CPAC Orlando.
Yeah.
We're at the hotel where there's a bunch of guys from the 2016 campaign. And I was just talking about the fact that, like, there are a bunch of advanced guys. And we were talking about how, like, these rallies and these movement never had happened before. And everyone's like, oh, my God, remember back in the day, we used to have to send out flyers, make phone calls, be like, hey, so-and-so's coming, you know, McCain, Romney, coming to the state fairgrounds on Friday night at 7 o'clock. Please show up. We're going to have, you know, Kid Rock's going to play, or we're going to have free this or whatever.
Right.
And we were like, God, it's so different now. Trump sends out a tweet and tens of thousands of people show up. And we were joking about it. And they finally said, you know, if you don't document this, no one will. And I thought to myself, oh, that's crazy. And then I started having conversations with folks who agreed. They were like, dude, you should make this into a documentary and follow these people. So we started following the Front Row Joes. And, you know, again, if you've never been to a rally, obviously a lot of footage at CPAC, so it's not just the rallies, it's CPAC
Right.
and other events. We go to Mar-a-Lago and like get to understand these people who are the equivalent of like deadheads, and be like, tell us why you do this. Why do you go to rally after rally, event after event? And what makes you tick? Why do you love President Trump? Why do you love going to these rallies? Why are you spending $50,000 to go to all these things? And it was just, I thought it was an amazing thing. And if the media will never tell us this story.
Right.
So we wanted to document it so that people who have never been understand it, or people who've never been, will have some insight into this historic movement.
You know, it's interesting because, of course, you know, I think there was like a story that came out after one of the CPACs, like an anthropologist showed up, or some sort of like social scientist, like totally crazy lib. And, you know, and basically everything is like, oh, this movement, it's a cult. It's
like you're a zoo animal. Let's
exactly. You're an exotic zoo. What zoo animal would you be, Sean Spicer? That would be fun. Maybe
tiger.
A sloth. Ooh, a tiger. That's good. Yeah, I think for me the lioness, hands down. But
sure.
But I got to ask you this. You know, the left views this MAGA movement truly as a cult. They think that they're shocked. They're like, how can more than half of America be following this guy, right? What do you think? I mean, I know what I know my reason. I mean, what do you think drives these front row Joes to be so committed to basically, say we're going to back this guy up and we want to make sure he wins?
So I think generally speaking, I mean, we actually asked that question a lot in the documentary to different ones of that. And I think to some extent, it really comes down to a love of the country, and they believe that Donald Trump is making the country better. But more than that, he's fighting. And I think I get this. I will admit to that. Prior to 2016, we had learned, this is as far as we can go.
Yeah.
Whether it's nominating somebody or a policy. And Trump was like, yeah, screw that. I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to stick by this person.
Yeah.
And I think that people were somewhat shocked that you can actually be a politician that follows through on your word, that gets things done, that fights and wins. And so they see in him, they've been forgotten and thrown back and discarded for so many years by politicians who are like, unfortunately, we had to pass that deal. Unfortunately, we had to agree to this compromise. Unfortunately, we had to cut that person loose. And they finally see somebody that says, screw that. I'm going to fight hard for these things. And I'm going to get it done. And they're willing to then say, fine, if you're going to fight for me, I'll fight for you.
Yeah, I do think that has, changed the way. I don't think before, and we've been in Republican politics for a long time, it really was about like, how do we, move the needle, or how do we compromise on a deal? And then you always felt that you were losing on the deal,
Well,
here in
and it's also, it's the deal and the people. Like,
yeah.
And I'm not going to name names, but I think people.
Oh, name names. This would be so much
No. But
fun.
it's saying that you remember, it's not just the policy. You remember back in the day, it'd be like, who can we nominate that will get through?
Exactly.
And Trump said, who's the right person? And then we'll fight for them.
And we fight.
And I was like, wow. Like, Brett Kavanaugh should have been left for dead.
Yeah.
And that president said, no, I'm going to fight for him. And I'm going to stick by him, and we're going to get it through. And honest to God, I think that to me was one of the real telling moments, because politically, McConnell and everyone's like, dude, you got to cut this guy loose. He's not going to. And Trump was like, no, he's the right guy. He'll fight hard for conservative principles in the Constitution. So we're going to stick by him. And that's just not how it had traditionally worked.
Is there a moment in the documentary where really it shocked you, that you were like, this is fascinating. This is something that every American should watch?
There's two moments. There's one logistically, which is there's a Pennsylvania rally, and I remember it clear. I mean, I was on the phone and it was like, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about, because words can't do it justice. But it's pouring for days, hardcore rain. And these guys are still like, okay, they're putting bags over their heads, up on their feet so they can stomp through the mud, and like getting in the back of their cars to spend the night. I mean, I would have been like, peace out. Sean's going to the Holiday Inn. Like, there's a day.
You totally would. You'd be like, I gotta go. I gotta go get a beer.
I'm a little wet right now. But anyway, and they're like, and so that the commitment to me was huge. And then there's another scene in it where one of the front row Joes, by the name of Rick Frazier, talks very passionately and movingly about the passing of his daughter, Kaylee, through fentanyl, and why he believes that Trump will fight for the security and safety of this country and Joe Biden won. And it's just, it's a tearjerker. But so there's a lot of those moments where listening to their personal stories, why they're doing what they're doing. And in some cases, some of it's lighthearted. One guy's talking about the fact that like his mom and his girlfriend are like, why are you going to another Trump rally?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, yeah, dude, why are you going to another Trump rally? And then there's the personal and the legit. I mean, so I just loved making this movie because every twist and turn was like, wow, I didn't expect that.
We find that at CPAC too, that it's like the person who then goes to this one CPAC then ends up going to the next CPAC, and they make a community, and it really is about community. And I think the MAGA movement is not just a movement; it is a community for these people where they feel supported, where they're inspired by Trump. Let me ask you this: how different, because you're super old, like. You remember the Reagan Revolution. I'm kidding. You're not that much older than I am. But like, how is the Reagan Revolution different than this MAGA movement, and how are they similar?
Well, I think it's also similar to, like, say, Barack Obama being the first black president. There was enthusiasm and excitement.
Yeah.
But that's different than a movement. And that's where I think, like, again, there's a big difference between being excited and I think saying, hey, Reagan's coming to town or Barack Obama on the other side was coming to town, people go out and want to see, then following them.
Yeah.
And saying, I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to sleep in the back of it because I want to be in the front row of this rally because I was in the front row of the last one, and the front row before that, and the front row before that. These guys don't get special passes. Like, oh, I'm a front row Joe. Show me. They still go after this many years 4 or 5 days early so they can stand in line and be first.
Yeah.
And I like I said, there's revolutions. There's like this to me is a true movement. And that's very different than excitement. And that's what makes it different. And to piggyback off what you were saying a moment ago, it's not just community. I think you hear the word over and over again in the documentary. It's family. They feel like they're connected, that they can call on these people. That I mean, there's stories where they're like staying in each other's houses as they travel and vacationing together and being in an RV together. It is a very familiar experience for these guys.
So was there a question of what happens after Trump? Not that, God give a lot of health to should give lot of health to President Trump. But seriously, that next question of that, people are always wondering what happens after Trump. Yeah.
And we asked that to Steve Bannon, to you, to a lot of the people, and we sat down with President Trump.
I give you a good answer. I can't remember.
Of course, he's a great answer. Well, first of all, there's no.
Did I say you're taking over MAGA movement? Is that what I said? I forgot.
Yeah. Well, there's no. I mean, look, we asked a lot of people in the documentary, outsiders plus the front row Joes themselves.
Right.
And I mean, spoiler alert: there's no real answer. There's a lot of theories. Does it go to Don Jr.? Does it stay with Trump and he just sort of commands from on high? Does a JD Vance or somebody that we're not even talking about today emerge? I don't know, and I don't think anyone does know. Does Trump's VP pick that he will make soon, does that person take it over? I don't think we know, but I think it's interesting to hear the theories because I kind of was intrigued by what everybody else thought. So there isn't a one answer, but there's a lot of great theories, and it's also interesting to hear the different takes, like you versus Steve Bannon versus, say, one of the reporters versus some of the front row Joes. Like, what do they personally think? They're the guys that are doing this.
Yeah. What was there any thought process on them? Just they were all they think the movement continues, or is it really this one man personality? I mean,
I think it's divided. Some of them are committed 100% to Trump. Some of them are like, I'm going to stay with the guy. There is no one singular answer, Mercy. That's the thing, is that some of them are like, I love Trump and I'm just going to keep supporting him and waving flags and going outside of Mar-a-Lago, whatever. And some are like, I'm going to wait to see who he tells me to.
Yeah. I want to shift gears over to the debate, the disastrous debate for Joe Biden with his, I don't know, he couldn't even know what camera he was looking at here. But
that was CNN's fault.
That was totally. Did you see Dana Bash like kind of saying, "Look,"
she's like, "Dude,
yeah, like move over, Joe Biden. Look at that camera." But following these debates, we're starting to see a shift in the polls, and I know that there's people out there like, "Oh, it's too early with the polls," but it looks like Pennsylvania, Trump 58%, that's a new high. Biden 42%. Michigan, Trump 54%, a new high. Biden 46%. These numbers are very telling. Wisconsin, you're also seeing Trump up 56%, Biden 44%. Look, you've done this political, type of jobs for a long time. Is this lasting? I mean, is this significant for President Trump?
Yes, but
okay.
I think we're experiencing a little bit of a sugar high here, right?
Right.
So this is like post State of the Union, post convention, post big announcement. It goes both ways. So that being said, I think he definitely got a sugar high bounce out of this because anyone with eyes sort of saw something. But at the end of the day, most people are going to come back to Biden. But what I remind people, Mercy, is that we're talking about 10,000 votes in Michigan, 20,000 in Wisconsin, 10,000 here in Arizona and Georgia. We're playing on the periphery.
Yeah.
So getting 20,000 votes is a big deal in context.
Yeah.
And I do think it benefited President Trump, but I would caution people on our side, keep your foot on the pedal.
Yes.
And the other thing is they're not done. Do you really think that these people who've thrown the Steele dossier, who 51 intelligence agencies tried to take them off the ballot in multiple states, sent 4 lawsuits, are suddenly going to go, you know what? We tried, guys. We gave it the old God. Let them go.
Yeah.
they are not giving up. And I don't know what's next, but I know that they're not going to stop. And so that being said, I think they're going to figure out how do we throw the next proverbial kitchen sink at the guy. And it will tighten up a little. Do I think that Trump's in the driver's seat now? Yeah, absolutely. This was a great night for him, bad night for Joe Biden. But I caution everybody, access Hollywood, right? It's, that was a coordinated effort to get that out and try to ruin them. There's something else coming. Yeah. It may be completely made up again. But my point is that don't think that this is it. Like we got a sugar high. Let's enjoy it, but also remember that we're at batting practice in a 9-inning game.
Well, and the Biden team, obviously, they're experiencing damage control with their following the debate, pointing fingers at staffers, pointing fingers at the CNN moderators. Jill Biden is like on the cover of Vogue, pretending like she's Mrs. President. I mean, do you think Biden, and then you've also seen the Democrat governors basically now saying, we want to hear from Biden. There's a lot of concern coming out of the governors as well. Do you think Biden will be replaced?
No. So a couple of things. First of all, let's just get this straight. I love these anecdotes that are like, we need to see him do a long form interview. We need him to do a town hall. I'm like, dude, is that our side saying that? Because I'm like, who in their right mind that supports Joe Biden thinks the best thing for him to do is more of what was a disaster the other night?
Exactly.
I mean, holy smokes, what a moron you'd have to be like, let's get him out there more. Hello. Secondly, will he be replaced? No. And everyone who says this, look, they are going to move up the virtual nomination for Joe Biden. It's going to be a Zoom roll call very shortly. And they are doing this intentionally to stop the talking right now. He is not going to be replaced. They are going to nominate him, which is legally binding, very shortly. They're moving it up to potentially July 21st. Once that happens, it's game, set, match. It's over. Okay. Now, could he drop out in the future and then Kamala take? Yes. But for all intents and purposes, it's not over. Could they or should you? I don't think so, because I don't know that there's another Dem that could actually take over at this point, and it has to be Kamala. It
has to be Kamala. I agree with you.
No, it's not. Can I just be clear? Any discussion of anybody not named Kamala Harris is not a real option. Okay. She, from a logistics and legal standpoint, she's the only one that they can hand over that $200 million to. Okay. Because she has been part of the campaign. They just can't turn it over. Secondly, in a Democratic progressive party, do you really think they're going to pass over the first female black vice president for the straight white dude from California with really nice hair? I mean, not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. And I get it, why people are saying it. It's just not going to happen. So he's going to be the nominee. They're going to get the talking points out. The media will pivot and start talking about the Supreme Court and all this other crap. Yeah. But at the end of the day, this is who they're stuck with, and they know it.
Yeah, interesting. What does Trump have to do? Final question here. What does Trump have to do to just seal the deal and just get to the finish line?
Just stay straight. Stay straight. Stay true. Honest to God, this was the last 4 weeks of the 2016 campaign.
Yeah.
He was focused, and I know it's a lot longer now. But look, he reassured people the other night.
He did.
His policies are better. Just stay true.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm being serious, like, don't, this is about, as I said, that we're on the margins. Everyone who's with you is already with you. You don't need to get them to double down, right? You are playing for tens of thousands of voters who are on the fence, these double haters.
Yeah.
They need to know that you're not going to go off the rails, that your policies are good, and you're not going to do all this crazy stuff that the media wants to pretend it's going to happen. So stay true, stay focused, and win.
Sean Spicer, host of The Sean Spicer Show and producer of the new documentary Front Row Joes.
Starring Mercy Schlapp.
Starring Mercy Schlapp. And also the master of all things. No, Sean, it's really, truly an honor to have you. You're a dear friend of the Schlapps and of CPAC. And where can they get this movie? That is the most important thing.
Oh, thank you. Good point. FrontRowJoes.movie or SalemNow.com. And by the way, the best part about going to salemnow.com is that you can not only buy the DVD, but if you want to gift either the streaming or the DVD to a friend or someone at CNN that hates Trump that you want to send it to him, you can actually, there's a little button that says gift it. So salemnow.com and all things Sean Spicer at seanspicer.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean, so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me and being in the movie. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much. Well, thank you all for watching CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. Keep following us with everything that we're doing. Go to cpac.org. God bless.